Danny Gathon for Pro Boxing Fans in Sheffield, Dave Coldwell. Who else would I say in Sheffield? Dave, we've just saw Dalton Smith win a very one-sided decision over Matthew Germain. Yeah, it looked like he nearly got him out of there a couple of times, couple of stoppages. What did you make of the fight?
I felt sorry for him because, you know what? If you look through a lot of his champions that we've had in the past, there's always that one fight that's a little bit frustrating, a bit of a stinker. Somebody runs, somebody just makes you look less than what you are. I think tonight was one of those fights where you could see the frustration in Dalton. He wanted him. It's not a case of somebody boxing, he was literally running. You know, it didn't look like he had any sort of ambition to win the fight whatsoever. It just looked like a guy that was trying to survive right from early doors. And could Dalton have done things a little bit better? Yes, without a doubt he could. But in the moment, in front of your hometown, in front of your fans, it's still a fighter that's learning himself. You look at the amount of fights that he's had in comparison to, you see other fighters, champions that have gone before, and before they get to this sort of level, you know, where they're talking about fighting for world title, they've had a lot more fights, you know. So he's still learning, he's still developing, and that will go towards his development. But a frustrating night. It was frustrating to watch, frustrating for him more than anybody else.
How does he fare against the big boys at 140? Obviously, he's #1 contender for Alberto Puello with the WBC belt. You've got Teofimo Lopez fighting Arnold Barboza.
Well, he's #1 for Puello.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that one rather than going on about the other champions. He's #1 for that one.
Yeah.
It's a very winnable fight. People are going to now say, "Oh, give him some stick about this fight," but Puello's not a superstar. I've seen him up close. I've had Stephen Cairns spar with him. Good fighter, but he's not that elite level. So he's a very winnable fight, and I look forward to that fight. And also, don't forget, Dalton's still learning. He's going to get better. He's going to be better as it goes along. So it doesn't. That performance tonight, it doesn't make me think, oh, he's not going to beat him. If you're talking about the elite and the huge names of the sport, then as I would have said beforehand anyway, he hasn't had those fights to compare him yet. It'd be such a big jump. There's such a gulf in ability between the level that he's boxed at to the elite of the sport. So you can't really talk about those fights. So let's talk about the fight that he's going to be fighting for the world title. Very winnable fight.
Dave, will not keep you too long because I know you've got company. Just want to get your thoughts on, I'm sure you've seen it, the explosive interviews plural, with Chris Eubank Sr. Basically, I'm sure you've seen it called his son a disgrace. I mean, if you're Chris Eubank Jr., that's hardly ideal, a couple of weeks out.
It's not. Listen, I'm not Junior's #1 fan or anything, but to have a parent talking about you like that, it's not nice. And I feel for him. It's just a sad situation with the whole relationship between them. It slapped him with an egg. There's been far worse things that have happened. Would you not say throwing a table at somebody's worse than slapping somebody with an egg? You know, there's been scuffles and pushes and punches thrown at face-to-faces a lot throughout the history of boxing by a lot of big names, a lot of respected names and things like that. I don't agree with touching another man's face at a face-off like that. No, I don't. But it's part of the sport, and it's part of the showbiz that everybody loves. You know, his dad was very good at winding people up. All right, not in a physical way, but he knew what he was doing with people to get under people's skin, and he would always say that, you know, you do what you do to win.
Yeah. I saw Eddie Hearn give his reaction, and he believes that Chris's main grievance with the fight is essentially that he's not involved. Obviously, Chris.
He chose that. I mean, listen, right from the start, it was always about the dads, and right from the start, everyone was saying, "I hope that it's, you know, that Senior and Nigel will be involved. That'd be great. It's great." But Senior chose to take himself away from that situation, so that's on him. So if he's got a gripe about it because he's not involved, then that's on him. But he's certainly, you know, had a lot of publicity through the fight himself. If he's that against it, and if he believes it's, you know, that it's such a travesty of justice and it shouldn't be happening and all that sort of stuff, then don't speak about it, because your voice is very, very powerful, and you're making it a bigger event. We're talking about it now. Yeah. You're talking about him when you see me at a boxing show. Yeah. So he's promoting the show. So I'm sure Eddie actually is thinking, fucking great job, Chris. Keep opening your trap.
Right. Well, Dave, as I say, always a pleasure to speak to you. I know you've got the little ones with you, so I'll let you go. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it, Dave. Always good to see you, mate.